Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm over at the new shop and I need to start chipping away at this disaster behind me. So the first thing I want to do is I have this spot above the office that really isn't usable. So I'm going to throw bumpers, side skirts, fenders, stuff like that up there just to get it out of the way, because it's stuff that I really don't want to stick in shipping containers, because if a shipping container gets hot and you have a plastic bumper in there, then it possibly could melt. So I don't want to have any issues with that. Plus it stays pretty cool. And during the winter, it's pretty warm in the shop. And during the summer, it's pretty cool year round. So it's really well insulated. They were using it as a weed grow, so I'm guessing that's why it's so well insulated. But I want to get these side skirts. I have that VR4 bumper, and just all of the stuff that I don't want down here. Plus I want to start figuring out what I'm going to do about mounting signs. I have all of the signs and I have movie posters I want to put up, but I'm not going to do all of that in this episode. Over here, I need to take all of the bumpers and all the signs out of this area. So I have a Hellcat wide body bumper, I have a spare FD bumper, the original R1 FD bumper, 240 bumper, etc., all this stuff. The signs I'll hang up. These 3 spare Conoco signs I'll probably just stick up there, and just all of the extra. I have a carbon fiber rear trunk for the Mini Cooper, and I have a wing for the 240SX. Actually, these are not produced anymore. This is like a whale tail for the 240SX that I was going to put on the car, and I think I kind of outgrew it. I never installed it. But yeah, let's get all this stuff out of here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this room right here. This is like an entrance room. It's really nice because it keeps kind of like the breeze out when it's cold or hot. And I need to figure out what I want to do with it. It's just kind of a really nice buffer area. But I don't want to throw a bunch of parts in it and just have it looking ratty like this. What I was thinking was I could kind of maybe put a couch in here, or maybe a TV, I don't know. And then I could close off the office right here along with the door. Then I could put another door, or I could take this door and move it out here. And then I could put a door into the office. And then the office could be kind of its own section. So when you walk in, you're not going just directly into the shop. You kind of have like a buffer area. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this shelving right here. Right now I have some stuff stuck on there, but it really doesn't make sense. Another thing that doesn't make sense that I want to change is in this area over here. Once I get over there, there's just so much stuff spread out. I was moving really quick, so just bear with me. Also, another thing I want to kind of put up there is all the spare boxes that I use to ship stuff on eBay. That'll get all the boxes out of the way. The plan is to package everything, put it in shipping containers, so it's already boxed, already weighed, already dimensioned, so I could ship worldwide. And I've started that, and it's really nice because I've shipped some stuff. It's labeled, marked, the weight's already in, and the stuff sells a little bit quicker. So plus it stacks nicer, and you don't have like lights like that. You can't stack lights like that. Once they're in boxes, you can. But over here, if you come into the bathroom, you can see that the ceiling isn't as high as it is out here. So what I think I'm gonna do is, this room has the washer and dryer and stuff, and then the water heater. I want to kind of rearrange this, and I want to, as you can see, this goes all the way up. I want to make this 2 levels, and I'll probably move the water heater over here by the washer and dryer, and then this sink I'll probably move as well. I'll pull all this drywall, or not drywall, all this plywood out. The whole shop is plywood. They probably spent $200,000 in plywood. But then I can make this 2 stories, which will make these shelves up here usable. But then I could push this wall out on both sides to make this a lot bigger. So then I will have more room to store stuff. I think that what I'm going to use this area for is just kind of like storing stuff like cleaning supplies, laundry stuff. I have all my fuel jugs in here, but just have the washer and dryer and kind of have supplies for the shop that I can get to. And I think that'll make, I think it'll make it a lot better. Plus, if I push that wall out on both sides, we'll have quite a bit of room, probably almost as much room as the office. They were using this as like a shower, but the issue with that is it gets the plywood all wet down there. So I'm not going to do that. They did that because there's a floor drain there. And then the water heater, I think, needs to be replaced because it has kind of like a sulfury smell on the hot water. So when I remove this, I'll probably just throw that one away and I'll get a new one, put it over here, maybe do like a water purification setup too. And then I'll redo all of this electrical so it's not outside the wall, as well as the water lines. They're all crazy. I've done all this stuff before. So it'll be a lot nicer, and then it won't be just kind of like afterthoughts. We have like water hoses ran all over here, and I really don't like doing all the plastic PEX stuff. I'll do everything back in copper. I like copper a lot better than the PEX. It's a lot cheaper to do the PEX, but the copper I feel like is a lot safer over time. Plus, you know, a lot of people are getting more worried about microplastics. And I've always liked copper. I mean, it lasts forever, and you don't have to worry about it. I mean, there is some sediment that builds up in it, but the same thing with the PEX. I mean, that's just from the water. Plus, if I have a water purification system, you won't get that buildup in the lines. So yeah, I just don't like this stuff. So we'll figure this out, figure out these walls. I'll probably figure out also what I'm going to do about HVAC. I might plumb everything for HVAC, because in here they have like a ceiling register, but this thing just goes directly to, if I can open it again, it just goes all the way up to the attic. So I'll figure out what I'm going to do about that. And then I like the bathrooms. I don't know why there's two of them. There's a gentleman and a ladies down there, but there's not really a point to have two bathrooms in a shop. You usually just have one, and you could put gentlemen and ladies on one door instead of wasting space. So but I will keep them. I'll figure out what I'm going to do about those. Another thing I want to take down is this little cubby thing over there is kind of a nice storage place, but since I'm going to have shipping containers, it really doesn't make sense. It's just kind of wasting space as a storage place. I have all the parts for that Corvette over there, just kind of taking up this shelving, but get rid of that. That'll be nice because then it won't be in the way. Give me more shop space, more floor space. And then over here, like I've said before, I need to get rid of, I want to get some actual workbenches instead of these wooden ones. So I'm going to take these wooden workbench stuff out here. I'm going to take this whole wall down right here, because this is kind of just a weird thing. It looks like it went all the way across. You can see the little beam sticking out of the ceiling. So I want to get rid of those, and then I could come over here, and then I'll get rid of all of this, because as you can see, it's hard to reach all the way to the back of that. Like even my arms, I can never reach all the way back there, probably halfway. And then once you get further and further up, it gets harder and harder to reach all the way back there. So it really doesn't make sense to keep all these shelves right here. I have a bunch of exhausts. All that stuff will go in shipping containers, but it'll just be nice to get rid of this stuff. I'm not exactly sure what they were using this for as storage, but it just, for what I'm using it for, it really doesn't make sense. And it just takes up a lot of space. Not really a lot of space, but if these were half the width they would be probably a lot more usable than what they are now. I don't know why people do the whole pallet depth. I think it's like 5 feet, 4.5 feet, or whatever it is. But it just doesn't make sense, because then you can't reach all the way back there. Like if I want to get that rod and piston that's all the way back here, I mean, I have to lean all the way over to get it. So to me, if you're gonna build a shop, I would really recommend doing like 2 or 2.5, 3 foot at the max for the width of your workbench or your shelving, because it's just going to take up too much space. You're never going to be able to get to the stuff in the back, especially when you have stuff like this that's that high. Like getting all the way back there, you're going to hit your head before you can reach all the way in there to get it. So we'll figure that out. I'm probably going to be getting some lifts really soon. So I'm gonna have to get enough room to get the forklift in here because I'm going to put lifts back here. I also need to extend that shelving across. I'm not sure if I'm gonna leave it there or not. I might move it over here. Not 100% sure. I'm just kind of feeling out the shop because it's one of those things where I'm gonna have to probably set stuff up, try it out, and then move it as I like it or if I don't like it. Like I said, these workbenches, they are kind of nice, but I will have my toolbox over here. I'm gonna definitely move that. I'm probably gonna move that fridge into the office, but I will have my toolbox over here, and I wanna get some of those nice kind of stainless steel workbenches that aren't built in. And then I could just kind of maybe have them eventually go across this whole wall right here where I have the three 2-post lifts. And I think that'll be really nice because then I'll be able to have a lot of storage. It won't be taking up a bunch of space, and I could have all my tools and all this stuff that I need where it's gonna go. And then I'll just be really, at the end of the day, I want it to be usable and efficient, because the more efficient it is and the more usable it is and the less clutter that I have, as you can see right now we're at like 110% cluttered, then you get less stuff done. There's less progress. You're looking for stuff all the time. Once I get shipping containers here, most of this clutter is gonna go, pretty much gonna just load the shipping containers up, and then I'm going to slowly start organizing the stuff out of the shipping containers as time goes on, as I have free time. But I need to get everything kind of ready to start working on projects again. So I think we're going to make a lot of progress, and once everything's set up, it'll look a lot nicer. Another thing is all the engines and spare blocks. I mean, what is this? This is a 7M turbo block. We have an RB30 block right here. Then we have an RB26 block right there. We have a USDM Mark IV 2JZ GTE engine right there. That was a perfect engine, now it's not. And then we just have like all this stuff, a spare VR4 block. So I just want all this stuff to go into shipping containers. I think it'll be a lot more efficient, a lot nicer. Then once everything's in shipping containers, I could pull it out as I'm going to go through it, rebuild it, Cerakote it, stuff like that, like this Pulsar GTIR transmission. Also, if somebody has a input shaft for a Pulsar GTIR, I need one of those, or I'll probably just do a dog box. And then we'll just kind of get all this stuff cleaned up. It's a lot of floor space is being taken up just by parts that are on the floor, just taking up a lot of space. So let's start off with getting the fenders, the bumpers, all that stuff, the boxes up on top of this. Man, this thing's so light. Carbon fiber on it's pretty nice too. I was able to get everything cleared out of this little front room, except for these 2 signs that I still need to hang up. But now all the bumpers are up above the office, which is really convenient. And it also opened a lot of space because there's quite a few bumpers and fenders and side skirts and just stuff that really didn't need to be on the floor. So I ended up hanging these 2 Hellcat fenders up right there. I think they look kind of cool. They go with that silver bumper up there, but it doesn't really look like much has changed. But all that stuff that's up there, there's less stuff over here. Doesn't really look like it on the camera, and you guys probably didn't see it before. But now over here, there was a bunch of stuff right here, and it's just, you know, it's a start. It's not completely ready to go, and it's not completely cleared out, but now there was the Durango bumper here, the Challenger Hellcat bumper there. There's all the Sylvia fenders and bumper and all that stuff right there that's now up there. Now that I finally have my toolbox over at the new shop, I had to completely empty it out because me and Chris had to lift it in the bed of my truck, which is perfectly fine because toolboxes kind of end up storing a bunch of just junk. So I had tools in some of the shelves, and this toolbox really isn't designed very well just because the drawers aren't long enough to put some of my larger breaker bars and torque wrenches in. So eventually I want to upgrade to a better toolbox, but for now, this is a huge upgrade because this has been at my house the whole time. And it's had tools in it, and I haven't had all my tools in the shop, but it also has, you know, you just throw junk in the toolbox, like bolts and screws and stuff. Now I'm going to have all that stuff in some cabinets over there. So everything's together. So I have all my hardware, all my brand new stainless bolts. And the one thing that's going to be great is finally having all my tools in one spot. But another thing is I've been working out of like a quarter of a toolbox for the past 5 years. So this thing is completely small. I've stripped a bunch of cars with this setup, but the unfortunate thing is it really doesn't have, it has a lot less spots to put stuff, and then you start storing junk in these little toolboxes, and then you don't have very much space. So I have so these are all the tools. You know, there's tools on the floor, tools in the toolbox, tools right here, and then we have a pile of tools over here on the floor. It's more of like a mound of tools. So I want to get everything nicely organized in the toolbox so I could just come into the shop, find the tools that I need, and not have to scrounge around and not know where tools are at. I think this is going to be a huge upgrade. So this is probably going to take all day to do, but let's get this all cleaned up, get all the tools in the toolbox where I want them, and then we'll be able to move forward. I'm probably going to end up putting this toolbox where I plan on putting the lifts, which is over there against the wall. What? Oh, that's cool. I need to figure out how I'm going to organize these. We got snap ring pliers. We got this. Bam. Well, bam. This whole box of Knipex snap ring pliers, which are super nice. It's in a nice little case, but I don't know if I want to leave it in that case because it takes up so much room. I guess what I could do, maybe not. I don't know. What should I do? This looks really nice. I really like having a drawer that's just dedicated to pliers and snap ring pliers, and you can actually get to them and see them, and you know what's in there. The bad thing is this this case is so nice. I'll probably end up keeping this case. Now that I have the toolbox and everything in it all nice and organized and cleaned up, so I could actually get to and know where all the tools are at. Look at this. So much cleaner. The one thing I do need to do is get a bigger toolbox eventually, because my pry bars, my torque wrenches, and some of my breaker bars are way too long for these drawers. But it's just nice having all this stuff this clean. This is my favorite box. I need to get some of the Knipex. I think they have some wire cutters and some other stuff just to kind of make this whole. The one thing is it's almost already full, so it'd be nice to have like a full drawer style toolbox where I have just one drawer on the top, all of these. Then I could have all 3/8, or I could have all these. I could have all screwdrivers and stuff. Then I could have torque wrenches. Then I could have all of my, or I could have these with the torque wrenches. I have my little torque wrench in here because it'd fit, but then it'll be a lot nicer because all the tools will be kind of more organized than they are now. They're very organized compared to what I had before in the little toolbox. I do need to get some different types of these rails. The other thing is, the bad thing actually is all these Craftsman tools that I bought. You know, I bought them some in high school, I bought some in college because you could get them replaced for free. Unfortunately, you can't do that anymore. So I just have piles of sockets that are broken. You know, these Phillips for I have a hammer. Where's it at? I have a hammer. I have this guy right here. This is a hammer to get the screws that have Loctite on them. You just twist it, and then as you hit it with the hammer, it shocks it and twists as you do it. But the Craftsman bits that I had, they all seem to shatter. So we have one there, we have one there. You know, I have some punches that didn't last. We have some wrenches that don't turn anymore, and you know, some wire cutters that I don't really need anymore, but they're broke too. Just a bunch of stuff that, and some of these torques that have broken and twisted and done what they're gonna do. But you know, you can't get them replaced anymore because the only place that you can get these at, I think, is Lowe's. And you go in and they're just like, oh, well, you can mail them in. Well, what am I going to do? Mail them to Craftsman, and then they're going to look at them and figure out, you know, it just doesn't make sense anymore. So unfortunately, you know, I probably need to find a substitute for all the Craftsman tools I have, just to kind of change them out as I go. Then I could have a more complete setup and just kind of go from there. And then some custom tools that I've made, like this crank pulley installer for and the outer sleeve for like a 5.9 or 6.7 Cummins. I actually made that when I worked at Cummins when I had all the CAD drawings, but it's just really nice to have such a clean toolbox. Just everything is so nice in here. I have all my hammers in a drawer, but now that this is done and I'm waiting on a shipping container, actually I'm waiting on 3 shipping containers. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for the guy to drop the shipping containers off, so then I could start loading all these parts into the shipping containers, and then I could get the lifts, then I could get the lifts installed once I have room and get the cars moved around and actually be able to work on stuff again. I'm going to do this in this room for the time being. So I started putting some stuff on this. This is like the only usable shelf in here. I could maybe get a ladder and put stuff up there, but like, why? Why would you put shelves? So I'm going to take these 2 shelves down right here. The plan is I'll probably end up drywalling in here, but I want to get these down, and I need to take the plywood off of the walls here. I'll leave this stuff here for now. I'm going to put drywall there, and then here, so then it'll go into the bathrooms. Not into the bathrooms, but it'll be above the bathrooms here. As you can see, the ceiling's just as high, or the ceiling is just as high, but in the bathroom it's half. So then I'll have an upstairs to this, and what I'll do is I'll put shelves in the upstairs, kind of similar to this, just not these. Ton of work. I have all of the shelves. They really weren't shelves. There's no way to get stuff on them or off them. So I left this one for now. I'll probably end up taking that one down too, just so I could reorganize everything. I'm gonna pull all this plywood down, then probably that line of plywood all the way around. I guess I'll probably have to cut that piece so I could get above the bathroom. Echo! Hello! It's got that new container smell. They smell like nothing. They don't smell like a bunch of like random stuff. But I'm gonna pack this thing nice and full. Look at these floors in here. Man, not bad. Not bad at all. It's kind of a shame to fill these full of a bunch of junk. But yeah, let's start moving stuff in here. I got this piece of plywood removed, and you can see above the bathroom. The only issue is pretty much a little bit higher than that piece of plywood ends. Is a they use 2x6s for the ceiling in the bathroom for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why they did that, but I don't have enough room if I stand up in there. So that only gives me 5 feet from that floor, where the floor would be, to the top of the ceiling. And then this is a curved roof. So I could go above that, but then over here, you can't gain anything else from there. So I now have the pressure washer mounted on the wall. The weird thing is I try to find some hardware to actually bolt this to the wall. So I have 2 bolts in a stud, but then so these are what comes with the pressure washer, and those weren't working for some reason. And then I got this other kit, but instead of using like a normal bolt, because you're going to be screwing it into plastic, they use the Phillips, so you can't actually screw it all the way in. So I'm going to probably have to revisit this, because right now we have these that ended up breaking because I used larger bolts, because I couldn't find bolts that were large enough or the things that were large enough for the bolts that came with the pressure washer. So I'm probably gonna do something different with the whole pressure washer setup, just because it is a little bit, I don't know, I really like it, but it's just kind of bulky. Plus this hose reel, it auto retracts. The pressure washer is definitely great for what it is and the price that it is. I think it was like $500 or $600. But the issue is the auto retract. You can never get it to look like this unless you sit here and hand spool it the whole time. So I'll probably end up doing something where I have just a manual reel hose out here, and then it will connect to a pressure washer motor and like water filtration system, like water softener in here. So the water softeners are, the large ones are like $200-300, and they pretty much tell you when they need to be replaced, and they self-maintenance themselves. And then you just have to replace the salt every, I think, year. It depends on how much you use it on the water softening mode or spot-free rinse. Water softening is spot-free rinse. But I want to do it so I could run the pressure washer with spot-free rinse or run it without it. So I want to do some stuff back here. I also want to get a different water heater. So this water heater, when you run it, smells like rotten eggs. I'm pretty much going to redo this or revamp this whole room just to make it so it's more usable for the shop. So I want to have this, eventually I want to get a pressure washer motor that will mount on the back side of this wall, and I'm going to drywall all this, and I'll probably tile the area where the pressure washer is going to be, just in case there's any leaks or any water, anything like that. It's not going to mess up the drywall. And then I'll probably tile the floor, as well as probably like a foot to maybe a foot and a half on the bottom of the wall. Another thing that I'm really glad that I did this, tore all this plywood down. So when I was tearing the shelves down, I noticed this little hole right here, and there's like a bunch of mouse poop on the shelf. So I'm guessing they had food or something on those shelves, and the mice got up there. But they also, you can see they built a nest down here, and I don't like this PEX stuff. So I'm going to replace all the PEX stuff with copper, because copper is far superior. I don't know why people are falling for the PEX stuff, but you can see there's a trail going all the way up into the attic or along that pipe. So I want to fix all this so the mice can't get in there. Also, I want to make it so everything is built in, so I don't have to worry about these hoses. This hose isn't that long, but having super long hoses hanging around, and this going to a faucet or something. So eventually, I need to figure out what I'm going to do about the pressure washer. This power cord is pretty decent. It's not super long, but this pressure washer should be on the other side of the outlet, because the cord is in the way of this. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but if you take that in and out a bunch of times, I have a wall mount hanger for the pressure washer wand, and then this will be on a separate reel, not an automatic retract one, because you have to pretty much manually spool it anyway. And it'll just be nice to have something that's set up for pressure washing. Plus, I have a really nice vacuum. It's kind of a vacuum slash, you can blow all the water off of a car with it, because it's really, really powerful. So I'll be putting that somewhere right there as well. But like I said, I might also put that inside this room. I just have to really figure out how I want to build it out. Plus, I'm not 100% sure. I've been thinking about it. I could almost raise that ceiling in here and over the bathrooms, so I could actually use that as kind of a loft. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do about that yet. So then I don't have the space wasted above the bathrooms. I talked about moving this wall right here out, so I had a loft up there and I could just put wheels and tires, but I don't know if that's the best idea, because it would kind of, I don't know, it doesn't look bad. It looked like the office over here. So, it's nice to be able to store stuff up there, but it's really kind of a pain to get the stuff up there in the first place. So it's just stuff like bumpers and fenders. That's fine. But wheels and tires up here, I mean, that would be fine too, but I'm not 100% sure if that's what I want to do. So we'll have to figure that out. Plus all this wiring and stuff, I'll put inside the wall instead of it being outside the wall, and just really clean all this up. Do some nice built-in shelves and drywall it so it doesn't look like this. I mean, it's not something that I'm super concerned about. I'm just kind of doing it while I'm waiting on stuff. So I'm waiting for the shipping container to come, and this was kind of a quick thing to do. So I still need to get all the rest of this plywood out of here, and then I can start. I might even take the insulation out and replace it, just because some of it, like right down here, there's mice nests in it. And I don't want that back there. Even if I'm going to, if I'm going to redo it, I'm going to redo it right. And then all this old plywood, I could either use it if I build a loft up here, or I could use it for crates for boxing differentials and stuff that I'm selling on eBay up. So we'll come back to this. If anybody has good suggestions, I ended up getting this. So this is like a water valve for like a washing machine, but this little box comes with this in there. It's like for an ice maker. So I kind of want to do, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it on the outside of the wall, but I kind of want to do something where the hose connects from the pressure washer directly to it. If it's on this side, or if I have the pressure washer in here, I could have this a really nice clean install, and then the drywall will just be around it, and it won't be, super crazy. And then I could go from this with like a steel braided line for like a sink, and I think, I think it'll be pretty cool. So yeah, and we'll figure that out. I need to figure out what I'm going to do with this, but yeah, the guy should be here with the second container in probably about an hour to 2 hours. So let's continue working on this. The guy just dropped off the second shipping container, and don't worry about them not being even. They're definitely going to eventually get moved over up against that fence once I pour a concrete pad. But to be able to clear the shop out and be able to get the lifts assembled that are coming, I needed containers right away. So they'll sit here for now. And I actually like this door over those ones. I kind of want these containers from now on, but they have like the beefy, like this recessed lock mount. So it's a little bit harder for somebody to cut the lock and break into them. Chris came over and helped me clean up the pallet racks. Getting locked in here. All right, there we go. So Chris helped me clean up these pallet racks that I had at the garage at home, since I'm pretty much taking everything out of the garage at home, so there's not a bunch of clutter there. And then I'll have stuff in the shipping containers as well. So really, these are 3 sets of the racks, and they're kind of daisy chained together. I wish they would give you an extra one of these in each package, because then I would have had enough to do the last shelf. So you pretty much need 7 packages of these shelves to fill one 40-foot shipping container. But the really nice thing is I left it a little bit high so I could put engines and transmissions under the shelves. And I forgot the pins at home, so I didn't put the grading on it. But then I'll have all of this as storage space. So this will be awesome, plus the other container. I think that we're going to have plenty of room to be able to do stuff, because anytime I need more storage, I'll just buy another shipping container. But I really want to have these organized, so everything that I have on eBay is just kind of on these shelves and these racks. I know where it's at, it's inventory, it's already boxed up. Like differentials, I'm going to use all that plywood and that wood that I'm taking out of that center room, and whatever other plywood that I take off and replace with drywall. I use that stuff for crates, and then I could have everything boxed up, size, weight, and ready to ship. That means I could change my eBay store to a worldwide listing, because then I don't have to worry about kind of guesstimating shipping. The bad thing is you lose out on packaging materials, because you don't get a charge a little bit extra to cover the plywood and the wood and all the packaging materials that you're pretty much losing by not setting a price for shipping. So we'll get everything figured out, but I'm really happy that this is here. I have both containers. I have the shelves out of my garage and set up. Plus, now that these shelves are out of the garage at home, there's a whole lot more room. Can't wait to get the lifts. I can't wait to start cleaning up the shop more. I've already put some stuff in the other container, and it doesn't really look like it, but it's a little bit easier to walk around in the shop. So the more stuff that I get organized and put in the shipping containers, I will have more and more shop space, which at the end of the day, I want to have everything that I don't need in the shop in here, all the parts, all the miscellaneous stuff that really doesn't need to be just laying around in the shop taking up space. And then the shop will be a lot cleaner. I can figure out what I'm going to do with that room and just kind of go from there and just continue to improve on the shop and improve on the property and stuff like that. So I'm going to end the video here. If you guys like these videos, make sure to click that subscribe button, throw a thumbs up, throw a comment below, and as always, see you guys next time.